93.7 Express FM. We are passionately Pompey.
Jamal Lowe's onside. The flag stayed down. Jamal Lowe, nonchalant, brilliant. Pompey will be promoted at this rate.
Cheltenham Town, that'll stick in my mind forever.
Pure, unadulterated Pompey.
You can't be involved with this football club and not be emotional. The club is special.
Action and reaction.
It's an exciting challenge. I'm proud to be the manager of Portsmouth.
Giving Pompey fans a voice.
The whole stadium erupted singing Play Out Pompey. It was a surreal moment.
To do it with a club like Portsmouth was just incredible. That was the reason why I joined the club.
This is the Football Hour.
The one team that stands out, that's historic, that's had great success, that has a fan base that is amazingly passionate, is Portsmouth.
Pompey are back in league action, as is the Friday Football Hour. Can the Blues extend their unbeaten run away from home, or will Scunthorpe be the first to inflict defeat on Kenny Jackett's men on their travels? Pittman and Hawkins trialled together at Maidenhead, but did it work? All of that and more to be discussed on a jam-packed Friday Football Hour here on 93.7 Express FM. We'd love to get your thoughts on all of the mentioned talking points and more as we look ahead to tomorrow's trip to Glanford Park. Contact us via text, use the word Express at the start of your message to 81400. Email pompey@expressfm.com or tweet us at expressfm. A very warm welcome to you wherever you may be listening to this evening, and welcome to the Friday Football Hour.
This is the Football Hour, 93.7 Express FM.
A very good evening to you all, wherever you may be listening to tonight for the Friday Football Hour, which I can delightfully say is back. Today in the studio we have Havant Waterlooville Media Officer Henry Deacon in the studio with us to discuss all the non-league goings on over the weekend later on in the show, and we also have avid Pompey fan Adam Hillier in the studio with us today. But before we go any further, let's listen to Kenny Jackett, who spoke to Andrew Moon at a press conference yesterday.
It is, and it's great period as well. Looking forward to it. Big challenge for us. Squad is, as I think, ready, and had a good week's training after our enforced break, which we understand with the internationals at Charlton, and we're really looking forward to the games coming again.
Does that sort of break your momentum when you haven't played a league game for 3 weeks and you play FA Cup games, then you have a game off? Does it break the momentum you built up?
Well, we have to make sure it doesn't. We talk about those things because we were in quite a good groove. We've focused and made sure that it doesn't take us a game or two now to get going. And from our point of view, I've been pleased with the week's training. I felt right from Monday morning the players have been with a good attitude. They've been ready to play. They've competed well. The training's been of a high standard. So we've made sure that we need to be focused, ready, and doing everything we can to hit the ground running when these games come.
And I suppose again this is where squad comes into it.
Yeah, you're always hoping that you have a settled 11, it's a successful one, and it doesn't need changing, but the real world's not like that. You'll need some fresh legs somewhere along the line, we know that, and you want as many people fit and available and on good form and pushing to get into the team.
Scunthorpe had a bit of a mini revival lately.
They have, obviously they've got a very experienced and very good manager, and if you're looking at a Scunthorpe side that in recent seasons has been a playoff team, and very unlucky not to get in the championship on occasions as well, and they'll be looking to try to get back to that in what is a good division, a very competitive division. It doesn't take much to be able to slip off it, and that's all Scunthorpe have done. They've got a good squad of players, and as I said, are a side that are used to being in and around those championship competing places, and they'll be wanting to get back to that.
So that was Kenny Jackett speaking to iFollow yesterday at the training ground. So as he mentioned, Scunthorpe, a team who have been in and around the playoff positions for the last 3 or 4 seasons in League One, not having the best of starts this campaign, but we have Adam and Henry in here to discuss tomorrow's game. First of all, a very warm welcome to Henry.
Very good evening, Jake. Good job, by the way, so far.
Thank you very much. And to Adam, sat on my left, how are you doing?
I'm not too bad, thanks, Jake. How are you?
Brilliant. Thank you very much for joining us. So, Scunthorpe, they're a team that should be there and thereabouts. 17th from the table, not doing too well. New manager Stuart McCall has been there for 17 games now. Bit of an on and off record. They've won only twice at home this season. Pompey unbeaten on their travels as well. Does this, I mean, we say this every week about the words banana skin, but could this be a huge banana skin, Henry?
Could potentially, and I think when you look at the league position Scunthorpe are in, 17th perhaps, probably not the truest reflection of them. You look at it, 7 players out, a couple of players really serious, one of them out for the rest of the season, so they're not going to be at their full strength tomorrow against Pompey, which can in one sense be the catalyst for mauling, but can have, on the other side of the coin, be a catalyst for them to be that banana skin. When you look at a manager like Stuart McCall, he's been there, he's done it, he's worn the t-shirt, he's fallen over cars and everything else. So he's a manager that knows what he's doing, he knows how to set his team out, and they go in there with nothing to lose, and they've got Glanford Park at home. That's going to be a catalyst for them to try and outdo Pompey.
And Adam, we were discussing before the show about Brett Pitman and Ollie Hawkins. Just a quick word on those. People have been crying out for the last month, 2 months. Do we play Hawkins? Do we play Pitman? Do we play them together? We trialled it at Maidenhead for the last half hour of a game. Did you think it worked?
Not really, no. I think personally you have to play one or the other to be effective in the system that we play. You've got Curtis and Lowe either side of him, and you need to utilise them by playing off them. For me, I think both players bring sort of different qualities to the team. Hawkins links up, I think, better with Lowe and Curtis. But Pitman is the type of striker you want on later on in a game. And, Scunthorpe we're going to where we haven't had a good record in the last few years that we've been there. Is he going to be a player that bags the late goal and bags the winner for us? I don't know. It'd be interesting to see what Kenny Jackett goes with at the weekend. But yeah, no, it's one of those that you can't really split them because they're pretty much the same player on paper.
So to you listeners at home, do you think that Ollie Hawkins and Brett Pitman should be given another chance up front together in the league? And do you think that tomorrow is a potential banana skin for Pompey? Do get in touch with us here at Express FM. You can text 81400, start your message with the word Express. We'd love to hear from you. Email pompey@expressfm.com or tweet us at expressfm2. Henry, going over the stats for tomorrow's game, Pompey have not won at all at Glanford Park in 4 visits since Scunthorpe moved there back in 1988. How much of a bad omen does that kind of feel to you going into the game?
I don't think it's as much an omen because it's quite staggered. As you say, over 1988, Scunthorpe are not a team that Pompey play often in the league. It's proven that either at one point they're in League 1, we're in League 2, or they're in League 2, or whatever. So if it was a record, say, over the last 4, 5, 6 years, then it is a bit of a concern because it's something about the psyche and the players have been there for the majority of that time. But back in 1988, Alan Knight was playing for the team, and it's a completely different team. It's a completely new energy about the team as well compared to teams past. And records count for me for absolutely nout in this game.
So you suggesting tomorrow that when I go to Pompey Live with Liam and Alan that we get Alan on the pitch?
802nd appearance.
Yeah, why not? if he's going to be the man that can secure that first win at Glanford Park for Pompey, why not? No, but it's been almost 56 years also since Pompey last won in Lincolnshire, Adam. We spoke before on previous shows about bad omens coming to haunt Pompey, and we seem to have squashed a lot of those this season. Do you think that this team and the kind of atmosphere around the squad this season, we're just smashing those out of the park now? It doesn't matter what's happened in the past. It doesn't matter all these kind of statistics and omens and whatever you think. This is different.
Yeah, very much so. I think there's a different challenge ahead of us this weekend. I think purely because of the fact we are league leaders, I think we'll be seeing more of a challenge of knocking us off, being the first team to be beaten on the road. Like, if Scunthorpe beat us tomorrow, they'll have a good statistic there for the rest of the season. Yeah, I think the squad that we've got now is strong. You look at it a couple of days ago when we played Tottenham in the Checkatrade Cup, I would almost have that full team playing in the league, with bar 1 or 2 that you would put in to bolster the squad. But with the strength that we've got now going forwards, I think for the rest of the season we're looking very positive, and I think going ahead this weekend, obviously that'll be in the back of the mind that we've struggled on that up at Scunthorpe before, but I think this will be the weekend that we can put them bad omens behind us.
Yep, too right. And there's a picture circling around social media during the week that you may or may not have seen. If you haven't seen it, go over to Pompey News Now on Twitter, you can see it. But a couple of seasons back, Henry, there were a couple of Pompey fans in the away end at Glanford Park. The team were 4-0 down, I think, at the time. It ended up in a 5-1 defeat to the Blues, hoping that's not going to happen tomorrow, obviously. But there's a couple of Pompey fans that have got a selfie with the Scunthorpe United goalkeeper. Bizarre.
Yeah, and I take it he wouldn't have done it if it's 4-0 down, but no. I think that's the beauty of football, isn't it? Especially when you're at a level like League One, League Two. When you're in the Championship, the Premier League, the players kind of hide away from the fans, but when you're at a level like this, it's great fun because the players are far more interactive with the fans. And Pompey have always had a great track record between its playing base and its fan base. And a couple of weeks ago on Twitter, there was that picture of Dion Donoghue signing autographs and all that and taking pictures with fans. We've always been good with that.
It's a different kind of world.
Yeah,
down in League 1 and 2.
It is, yeah, and
of course below.
Yeah, and I think that's football for me as it should be. We all love watching the Premier League. We all love watching Manchester City. Debatable whether we love watching Manchester United play, but we enjoy watching that football. But there's no connection with the fans, is there? I mean, when you go to Manchester City, you're a number. They call them citizens. They're just a number. Whereas when you go down to Fratton Park, or when you go to an away day, you feel like you're part of something. And Kenny Jackett's he's one of those managers that will always try and reference the fans when he's talking after a game or before a game, and that atmosphere at Fratton Park. And I think that's what stands Pompey out. And hopefully there's no selfish with goalkeepers at 4-1 down. But
well, hopefully it'll be the opposite the opposite way around.
What you're saying?
If it's
you're saying Craig McGilvery's going to take some photos of the Scunthorpe fans?
We'll be 5-0 up at half time, and that can happen the other way around. But no, as Henry was saying just now about the non-league and kind of the lower leagues of football and how the players and the managers are really involved with the fan bases and etc. We've got a great manager in Kenny Jackett, very professional at what he does, and also very fun as well. He lets the players do what they do and let the fans enjoy themselves as well. So we're going to touch on that later on in the show, what's going to happen around the weekend surrounding the non-league scene, Havant Waterlooville, Gosport, Bognor Regis, etc., as well as Pompey Women. You can find out all about that in part 3 of the show. But after the break, we'll be hearing again from Kenny Jackett and also carrying on to preview tomorrow's game at Scunthorpe United.
This is the Football Hour, 93.7 Express FM.
Welcome back to the Friday Football Hour here on Express FM with myself, Jake Smith, Henry Deacon and Adam Hillier alongside me tonight. We want to get your opinions on, do you think Brett Pittman and Ollie Hawkins can work together up front as a striking partnership? We did see a little bit of it at Maidenhead a couple of weeks ago. It's also been 3 whole weeks since Pompey's last league game in League 1. So, we will be previewing tomorrow's game at Scunthorpe United. We want your thoughts on how you think the Blues will get on tomorrow. Please do get in touch here at Express FM. Text 81400 and start your message with the word Express. You can tweet us at Express FM or email pompey@expressfm.com. But before we get into any of that and we carry on rambling here in the studio, Kenny Jackett caught up again with iFollow's Johnny Moore at the training ground yesterday. Apologies about that. Some gremlins in the system here in the studio. I'm delighted to say we can now hear from Kenny Jackett.
Yeah, they're fully fit and okay and have no problems, which is good. Louis is, as you say, impressed very well, and Andre's over his injury now, which is very pleasing for us. We want that type of depth, we want that type of competition, but similarly, from the front, if your side can settle down and do as well as we did against Maidenhead, and you're looking right the way through their tricky games, and we came through that very well.
Dennis is a strange one. Was he always going to take time to acclimatise to the step up?
I don't think it's anything that he's done. He hasn't really had a chance yet, but it's just been the form of the players ahead of him. The front 3 players, Gareth Evans playing in the 10 position, as something that we tried along the way and has come off. And those guys have been in good form, and they haven't got injuries. From my own point of view, I hope it stays like that. I don't want that to change. So, for Louis anyway, he hasn't done anything wrong at all, and he has to, be patient and most importantly, be ready for when the chance comes.
And Ronan Curtis got his international debut the other week.
Yeah, congratulations to him. I'm pleased for him. 2 caps, both coming on as substitutes, and hopefully, it's the first of many for him. He'd be very proud. His parents would be very proud of him.
What's the mood like at the moment? One would imagine it very upbeat.
Yeah, mood's very good, and we've had an excellent week's training. The players look focused and ready for the games, and it's going to have to be like that. There's a lot of travelling, a lot of games. We're ready though, and we're determined to do well.
Injury niggles?
No, we haven't. The only one we're waiting on is Joe Mason. I think it's more likely to be Tuesday. He'll be fit and available rather than Saturday's game against Scunthorpe. Other than that, with Ronan Curtis coming back from international duty, okay, trained today, we have a fully fit squad.
Touch wood, you have steered clear of injuries remarkably well this season.
Yeah, well, I'm not superstitious, but you're always wondering, and that's the reason that in the summer you try to put a good squad together to give some competition, up the level of the training, make sure the fitness levels are really high, and then when people are needed, you push them in, and for us. As settled as we can be and as in good form as we can be, that's a big thing for a successful team.
That was Kenny Jackett speaking to iFollow yesterday at the training ground. So, as Kenny Jackett was saying in that interview, lads, no new injury concerns, apart from Dion Donoghue, who is still waiting to come back from his injury and into training. How confident are you, Henry, going into the game, as a Pompey fan's point of view, obviously, with with that squad depth that we've got, that we can utilise all of the players we've got at our availability to grind out a result away from home yet again?
It should be more than enough, but then saying that, it's the cliche, anyone can beat anyone. But as Kenny touched upon in the interview with Joddy, Pompey have been remarkably lucky. We've been remarkably lucky with injuries this term, and sometimes you need that little bit of luck to take you where you are. And even if there was little troubles, there was enough, as you say, there's enough strength and depth that if there was problems, there's always someone else to come in. We're having this Pittman-Hawkins debate. If one was out for injury, like Pittman was, Hawkins can come in. If Hawkins out for injury, Pittman can come in and do the same job. So we're quite lucky that we've got a bit of versatility in the side.
Yep, and going into the winter period and the Christmas period, it's a very busy time, not just for Pompey, but for other clubs too. 12 games in 43 days from this point forward, and as we're entering into the new year. As Henry was rightfully mentioning there, Adam, very lucky really that we've not been hit with so many injuries this season, as opposed to last campaign where we had so many, which ultimately make up your own mind, that could have cost us going into a playoff push. How confident are you going into this busy period that we can come through it and play the way we've been playing all season? Because it's going to be a big test for us.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how we go through it. It'll be interesting to see what sort of rotation Jackett does throughout this period coming up. It's a period that obviously a lot of games over one period of time. The festive period is always a really tough schedule for football teams all over the country. I think we do, for the first time since maybe our promotion season, have the squad in depth to go through these periods and be able to come out the other side and say, look, we've got this amount of points and we're really stepping forward into the new year. You look at the players on the bench, and I'd arguably say on paper we do have the best team in the league, without a doubt. There's this talent we've got on the bench. We've got Andre Green just come back from injury. He's a championship player that's stepped down. Joe Mason, if we need to call upon him, another championship player that we could bring into the squad and really perform. We've got backup in all areas. I mean, the one position I would say, and maybe this is something we could talk about in a bit, is the striking position. I feel like we need someone who can run a little bit more up top, perhaps but offer something a bit different to what Pittman and Hawkins both bring, because they're, like we've already mentioned, very similar players. Maybe someone a bit of pace and desire to get behind the back line. But overall, we've got options all over the park, and it's really fantastic to see. It's a really strong squad that Jackett's put together.
It's going to be very crucial over Christmas as well. You've got Sunderland on the 23rd, which you'd expect, Kenny Jackett will go full gung-ho, and then you've got Gillingham on Boxing Day on the 26th. That's a 3-day break. Put Christmas Day in between. There'll be light training, but it won't be the same rigorous training as you would normally with that task. So that's where the squad really does come in, and the fact that on paper, I can't see another team with a squad half as good as Pompey. So there's
a lot of teams with a lot of good players, but in terms of if you look at our bench and our reserves, the players we've got at our disposal, Brett Pittman, last season top goal scorer, on bench, can't get a game. Obviously, there's tactical reasons behind that as well. But even Andre Green, a very exciting prospect at Aston Villa. Joe Mason is allegedly supposed to be a really great striker. We've not called upon him, so we have got that. That strength in depth. Please do get in touch with us here on Express FM. Text your word Express to 81400 with your message followed it. Email pompey@expressfm.com, or you can tweet us at expressfm. But going into the game tomorrow, Adam, Scunthorpe, they may be 17th. They may be down there. They may have only won 5 and lost 7 this season. They're not doing too great, but they can score goals. They've got some threatening players in their ranks. Lee Novak, who's joint on the top goal scoring list with Ronan Curtis with 6, Josh Morris, Charlie Good. They've got some goal scorers. Are you threatened that these players can upset Jack Watmore, Matt Clark, maybe Christian Burgess tomorrow.
Yeah, no, they do have some good strikers up top. But the way we perform away, I think, takes a lot of credit from the way Kenny Jackett implements his tactics. The difference between away and home, we go away and we play professionally. We go out there, we look to score first, really set the initiative, and then we defend resolutely. I was at the Coventry game a couple of weeks ago, and I was just outstanded by the way that we got the goal just before half-time, and then for the rest of the game, it could have just been a training game for all we knew, because we defended solidly, we broke down everything in the middle of the park, and I think if we play with that same sort of desire and intensity against Scunthorpe on their own backyard, teams don't really know how to play against it. We have such a way of dictating the play when we do. And yeah, I think if we can nerf their attacking threats, tomorrow could be a very good day.
Yep, and Henry, Scunthorpe is their 5th season in League One, currently 17th. When they were promoted from League Two, they finished 16th, 7th, 3rd and 5th. So a team that have been there and thereabouts for the last 3 or 4 seasons. They need to kickstart their season at some point.
Yeah.
Could tomorrow be that game? Pompey unbeaten on the road.
They want to hide into nothing, Jake. They want to absolutely hide. It doesn't matter for them. It's a free hit for Scunthorpe. No one's going to go there and expect Scunthorpe to win except from Scunthorpe, and that's got to be the danger. And these are the games we need a professional performance. You need to score early. The crowd will be against them because you know what it's like down the bottom. The crowd instantly turns. If you get that early goal, shut them out. Claim a scrappy 1-0 if you have to, then that's what you got to do. I think if you can upset the crowd early and get them on their backs, that's going to help you, because the last thing you want is for them to have a bright start, or even worse, score early and the crowd be up, because the crowd will be up, because Pompey we are one of the big sides in League One, and if they score early, then they're going to sense something, and you don't want to give them any kind of sense.
And Adam, looking at the squad that is likely to play for Pompey tomorrow. The only kind of survivors from last season's 2-0 defeat at Glanford Park that are expected to play tomorrow: Jamal Lowe, Nathan Thompson and Matt Clark. Only 3 players. How strong does that give, how strong of a sense does that give you that Kenny Jackett and the recruitment team have had such a really strong summer?
Yeah, I think that says a lot about our recruitment period over the summer, really. Players like Lee Brown who've come in and have really added stability to a position that previously in the past we haven't really had it. I think the core that we have now, the players that have survived from last season, they'll know what to expect going to a ground, and obviously over the last few years where we have not performed to the levels that we are now, I think it'll be a close one tomorrow. I think it'll be a very much grinding it out, but I do think we will be able to come away with 3 points.
Yep, and as mentioned about Scunthorpe being able to score goals, Henry, they're the top goal scorers outside of the top 5 in the league. Coming up against Matt Clark and Jack Watmore, as we mentioned, but with Ronan Curtis back on the side after a few weeks internationals and kind of finding his feet back at Fratton Park, Jamal Lowe and a fully fit front line, is this a game that you see that if Pompey don't win this, is it not a disaster obviously, but do there need to be questions asked?
No, because the record away from home is so good. Every team can have an off day. It's done. Not that I think it will happen tomorrow, but I think you're going to get Ronan Curtis back. I think he's going to be fresh, he's going to be hungry. He's been around the Republic of Ireland senior side for real this time. He's had those odd call-ups for the second game of an international break after the under-21s. He's now earned and merited his way into the Republic of Ireland first team. And he's going to be... Okay, the results haven't been good for the Republic of Ireland, as we've seen over recent weeks, but still, to be in that environment with the best Irish footballers there is, to be around Martin O'Neill, Roy Keane, be around that whole setup, which is more or less a Premier League setup when you go away internationally, that's going to give them a massive, massive buzz. I think you're going to get a confident Ronan Curtis back. If you've got a confident Ronan Curtis back, then Scunthorpe's defence better be ready.
We have Mel, who has gotten in on the action on the text. She says that her husband has gone up for the match tomorrow and she'll be listening to Pompey Live on Express FM. Thank you, Mel. She says she'll take a draw, Adam, but think we'll have a win. Will you take a draw?
Yeah, I will take a draw. I think it's just good to keep the undefeated streak going. Like I say, I do think we will win, but we're at a point in the season where picking up the odd points at places that are tough to go, like we've already mentioned, it's not one of our strongest places to go. I think that's crucial at this point in the season, and you never know come May, end of the season, if we're still at the top end, which I hope we are, and I think we will be. These points could be what pushes us up into the Championship. So yeah, it'll be a hard-fought contest, but I would take a draw.
So we'll come back to the game tomorrow against Scunthorpe. So moving on, Henry, we have some non-league information ahead of the weekend. You spoke to Lee Bradbury
earlier
on in the day, and he said this.
Lee Bradbury, looking ahead to a big home game tomorrow against Maidstone United.
Yeah, we've got 2 big games now coming up. Obviously, Maidstone, like you said, tomorrow, and then Dagenham away on Tuesday. It's 2 big games. Games we're excited about. I think we're on a good little run at the moment, and mentally and physically we're looking good. And the boys had a really good night's training last night, and we're excited. Hopefully, we can go and perform somewhere near where we have the last 3 games.
Is this our biggest week of the season so far, in your view?
Yes, I think it is. Yeah, just because the 2 teams we're playing are, one's just above us, a point above us, and one's just below us. So we can put a little bit of daylight between us and the bottom 4 if we were to get 2 good results. I'd like 6 points, obviously, but if we could get 4, it'd be good. If we could win at home and get something on the road at Dagenham, it'd be a good 4 points for us. But one step at a time, and at this moment in time, we've got a couple of injuries back, which is good for us. Bradley Tarbuck's okay and available to play after coming off on Tuesday. Theo Lewis back in training. Ibris Akaji, as you know, played 45 minutes Tuesday, so he's available again. So we're slowly starting to get some back.
Mason in some good form recently since Harry had come in, including a good point at home last week against Wrexham.
Yeah, watched the game. Since he's gone in there, he's made some good signings, Harry. He's done a good job at Billericay, and then obviously been headhunting for that job. And good young up and coming coach manager, and he's made some good signings. And I think they've turned the corner a little bit as well. It's about the same time as us, to be fair. So it'd be a good measure of where we're at the moment, and hopefully we can just come out on the positive side of the result.
So that was Lee Bradbury speaking to our very own Henry Deacon here in the studio. So as he mentioned, Maidstone United tomorrow. Henry, how confident are you going into the game, and what's the atmosphere around the club? Out of the relegation zone at the moment. What's the feeling like with Bradbury and the players?
They know there's a big week up ahead this week. We've got Maidstone, who are a point above us in the table, on a good run, drew against Wrexham last week at home, and then Dagenham on Tuesday night up at their place at the Chigwell Construction Stadium. And it's a massive week because they're just above us, Maidstone, Dagenham just below us. If we win both those games, we should see ourselves away from danger. Even 4 points from those games should see us away from danger. But we know that we've got to go out there and we've got to put out a good performance tomorrow, because, like I say, they've been in good form, similar form to us. Won 3 of their last 4, unbeaten in their last 5. They defeat, I think, was Solihull Moors, who are doing quite well. And yeah, we just got to go out and do just give it 100%. Hopefully, that's enough to see us over the line.
And so as we mentioned, just outside of the relegation zone, some big teams below them and around them: Chesterfield, Dagenham, and Redbridge. Even Dover, who have been in and around the playoff places. In terms of surviving the season, moving ahead to seasons to come, what are your thoughts? Is this season obviously just about surviving? But on from that, how do you see Havant Waterlooville progressing in the future?
Yeah, this season's all about consolidation. Obviously, staying up's the first step to that. I honestly believe we played 11 of the top 12 in our first 17 games, so that's possibly why we are in the position where we are, because they're tough games, especially when you're going to places like Wrexham and Leyton Orient. We've got a run now. We play a lot of the bottom half teams, which we've got quite a good record against. That's where we're going to be tested. If we can get a decent record against them, I think we're fine. As far as a long-term aim, I look at clubs like Bromley, who've done well, got promoted, consolidated themselves in the league, and are teams that, when you look at the National League, are considered as National League clubs, a bit like Eastleigh as well. Not that I want to say that, but we want to be a consolidated National League team that maybe every now and then flirts with the playoffs. Now it's down to 7th place.
And Adam, what are your thoughts on Havant Waterlooville's progression this season, and around the non-league scene, this weekend? What are your thoughts on Havant Waterlooville?
Yeah, it's a 6-pointer for him this weekend, isn't it? I think they need to be looking at making sure they get these points over the next couple of games, make sure that they get the points and look to solidify them places in the league, because it's a league that if you can consolidate in and can stay in, then you can build up from. And being a new team in the league this season, it is really important that they do manage to keep themselves in the league, because you don't want to be one of these clubs that fluctuates back and forward amongst the leagues. But yeah, I think Havant fans should be really excited for the future of the club if they can manage to stay up this season. There's a lot of good things getting placed down there, good setup down there as well, and yeah, it could be a very good weekend for them if they can come away with these points.
And also a quick note on Pompey women. They are away this weekend. They are away to Cardiff City Ladies Football Club, and they're returning to league action for the first time in a few weeks Join us back after the break. We'll be carrying on to preview this weekend's game at Scunthorpe United, as well as giving you a little bit of information how to get there and what to do around the ground.
This is the Football Hour, 93.7 Express FM.
Welcome back to the final part of the first Friday night Football Hour of the season. Henry Deacon quickly touching again on the non-league scene around Portsmouth and the surrounding areas, and we're not just focusing on Pompey this weekend. What other games are going on? Tell us.
It's another busy weekend as per usual. The non-league scene, we spoke about Havant before the break, their big week. Going into the Southern League, Gospel Borough, they've got Hendon, really tough game. Moved to the Southern League last season after a good spell in the Boss League, made the playoff final there last season on some penalties to Dulwich Hamlet. They struggled to find their feet for the first bit of the season, but now in those playoff places in the Southern League, found their feet. Gosport need to arrest a mini slide of theirs. Lost to an 89th minute goal on Wednesday away to Farnborough. They could do with a win somewhere, and I think against a team in playoff contention would be ideal. Going down to the division below, Moneyfields, they got Bideford. Moneyfields have been brilliant last few weeks. They were involved in a lot of cup action early on in the season, which meant they were third bottom in the league as recently as 8 weeks ago. Now they've got their eyes back into league action and now third in the league. Way to Bideford Saturday. They've got a bit of trouble going up to there because the company they usually get to hire the minibus and all that collapsed in the week. So they when I was speaking to Dave Carter, the manager for Wednesday nights over the White Line, he was talking about how he's going to try and find arrangements for that, but. Tough game, but
the joys of non-league football.
It is very much the joys of non-league football. A couple of games in the Wessex. ASC Porchester against Lymington Town. Porchester would like to get back to winning ways amongst that playoff hunt there. Baffins against Bashy. That's usually most weeks that'd be the game of the week in the local area as far as the West is concerned. Baffin's brilliant season so far, 8th in the table, but a couple of games in hand against a Bashy side that are very dangerous. They're always very dangerous in the league. Fairham against Christchurch. Fairham back in a good bit of form, 4 points over the last week. Pete Stars, the Fairham town manager, had a few injury problems at the start of the season. However, this season's results have started to pick up now that players are starting to slowly come back and they're slowly rising above the league. But the game of the weekend in the Wessex Prem, Sholing against Horndean. Sholing are 13 from 13, 39 points. 13 straight wins against a Horndean side, third in the league, but were tipped by many to be the favourites to win the league. I think the important thing is that it's being played at the Universal. If it was played at Five Heads, completely different game. But Horndean, I think if there's anyone that's going to put Sholing to the post as far as the title's concerned, it's going to be them. Just quickly, Division 1, the Wessex, Peterswood Town, they're in a good bit of nick recently after I wouldn't say poor start, but an average start to the season. Beat Porchester in the Cup a couple of weeks ago. Won on Saturday, 2-0 against Wing, their way to Romsey Town, 4th in the division at the weekend. Be an interesting tie for them.
Brilliant. So if you can't make it to Scunthorpe tomorrow, if you're not going to the game, then please, as Henry mentioned, please do get yourself to a non-league game. Non-league football, very important. It's not just about the big boys. Don't forget, carry on getting in touch. Text for word Express to 81400 with your message. Email pompey@expressfm.com or tweet us @expressfm on Twitter if you have any thoughts going into tomorrow's game. Just some travel information as given to us by Pam. If you are travelling to Scunthorpe tomorrow, the stadium holds 9,000. Pompey have sold just under 1,000 tickets so far. If you're going up there by car, the address you need to put in your sat-nav is Jack Brownsword Way, Scunthorpe, DN158TD. That's Glanford Park for stadium. If you're going up there and you don't know where to go around the ground, Pompey will be in the AMS stand, which is the south stand. It's all seated. And as if you're coming off a motorway, you'll see the ground as you're coming off it. It's on the outskirts of Scunthorpe, and it's very easy to get from the motorway. If you're going from the M1, turn off at junction 32 and take the M18 towards Doncaster. Continue on to the M18 to junction 5, then join the M180 towards Scunthorpe. Leave that at junction 3, take the M181 to Scunthorpe, and you will see the ground at the end of the M181 on your right. A bit of a mouthful. Parking, as far as that's concerned, it is available at the ground, but for a fee of £3, and it is first come, first served. There are street parking around the area, but there are restrictions in some streets, so please be wary of where you are parking your car, because you don't want to come back with a ticket or to be clamped.
Although you could get 3 points, though.
We're looking for a different kind of 3 points. We're not looking for that kind of 3 points. If you're going by train, it's approximately 5 to 6 hours. You can either go via Winchester and Sheffield or London King's Cross and Doncaster. As usual, unfortunately, South Western Railway have scheduled industrial action, which
of course they have.
Of course they have, yeah. Very useful for any fans up and down the country. But please do check their website, www.nationalrail.co.uk, before you set off to travel, just to make sure that you are going to get there in time for the match. The station itself is 2 miles from the ground. So, please, we do advise that you get a taxi or a bus from a station to Bolsover Road. In terms of food and drinks and refreshments, the away stand does have a bar underneath. But nearby there's the old farmhouse on Doncaster Road. We got the Hungry Horse, which again has a £3 charge of parking. But if you do buy a main meal, that does come off your receipt. So you can get reimbursed. And there are also a number of fast food chains outside the ground, as there are at Pompey. So, Adam, 11 unbeaten. We're unbeaten away from home, 11 wins all season. Ronan Curtis, Jamal Lowe being that influential, the figures for Pompey up front. How influential do you think they will be tomorrow, especially with Ronan Curtis coming back from international duty? Do you think his confidence will be sky high, or do you think he needs to be grounded a little bit?
I hope his confidence is sky high. Yeah, it's good that he's been called up. I think it's a fantastic thing for him. It shows the development of the squad and shows the development of him as a player as well. They're two key players for our team, really, aren't they? They've been performing fantastically all season. Maybe been a little bit quieter in the last few weeks, but we've had different kind of challenges with Maidenhead in the Cup and stuff like that. But yeah, if they're both on form, it depends who they're partnered up front with, whether it's Hawkins or Pittman, and who feeds off him the best. I think it could be a very good day for us tomorrow. Curtis obviously has got some minutes under his belt with the Republic of Ireland this week. That's going to be crucial for his confidence going forwards, for his player development. But hopefully he can find the score sheet once again, because it's been a bit quiet the last few weeks. It'd be nice to see him back on the back scoring again. And
we mentioned earlier, Henry, about the very busy winter period that Pompey face, in December and January over the new year. In those, you mentioned Sunderland. We're playing at home on the 22nd of December. Yes. And in that period also, including that Sunderland game at home, there's a 10-day period of Sunderland, Charlton and Barnsley. Barnsley being very the away game list, that one. In the middle of those, just in the lead up to Christmas. Yeah, Pompey top of the league, got the joint best defensive record in the division, front three on fire it seems to be, and still we don't know our best team.
Well, it says a lot about our team if you don't know the best team and you're top of the league. All right, considering we haven't played Sunderland, Barnsley or Charlton yet, as you say, but to be in the position where you are now, still not confident who starts week on week, it's going to be a positive thing. It's going to be a great thing on the training ground. Sometimes when nailed on your starting 11, your so-called impact players, sometimes they'll not salt, but sometimes they'll think that I haven't got a chance, and they probably may not work as hard as they know there's actively a chance. I think that's the joy that Kenny Jackett's got, because there's such a competitive race for places in that team. Everyone's going to work their socks off, and everyone will want to prove to Kenny Jackett come Saturday, come 2 o'clock when the team sheets come out, I want to be that name on the team sheet instead of XYZ. And looking to the game tomorrow, Adam, in terms of a starting lineup, it seems quite clear that in defence and in goal, McGilvery, Brown, Clark, Watmore, and Thompson at the back. But in terms of going forward, who can you see starting? Because it's a bit of a selection headache for Kenny Jackett. Andre Green coming into the fold in recent weeks and performing fairly well and of a good standard. And also we got that battle in midfield: Thompson, Naylor, Close. What can you see going forward tomorrow? Considering as well, it's our first league game in 3 weeks.
Yeah, it is. I think the fact that he keeps rotating the midfield on sort of a weekly basis, he hasn't really nailed down that midfield duo that sit just behind the attackers, says a lot about what he's thinking with the squad. I still don't think he really knows who the best midfield duo are. For me, I would like to see Thompson back in there. I think he brings a little bit something else to the side, that it's more like a bulldog sort of nature. He tears around the pitch, and yeah, he might pick up the odd yellow card or two, but he's a willingness there to get the ball. Further forward, I think we start Hawkins ahead of Pittman. I think it'll be mainly a similar lineup to what we played at Maidenhead, because again, I was one of these people who were quite surprised by the sort of strong nature we played in that FA Cup tie. They did the job. All right, we took 44 minutes to score a goal, but if that's the same thing if we got again tomorrow, then that's so be it. It's grinding out results on the travels, and that's something we've been extremely good at doing this year, better than any of us could imagine. If any of us had said at the beginning of the season we'd be 11 games undefeated on the road, then we'd be laughing, but it's fantastic to see what we've been doing so far this year.
It's phenomenal, and it's certainly an exciting time to be a Pompey fan. We have an email in from John Needham from Scunthorpe. Thanks for this information, John. If you are willing to donate, Pompey fans, tomorrow there is a food bank collection around the ground. There will be at Trust Corner, which is the first corner of the ground as you enter from the entrance. They'll be there from 2 p.m. and they have a flag at the corner. There'll be no doubt that their defence, this is an email from them, that their defence will be generous during the game, as it has been most of the season.
Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed. So we welcome any generosity from Pompey fans before the game. So if you do have any charity to give to those, then it's very much welcomed. They're looking to increase their supplies of Christmas-themed items, particularly the following: Christmas-themed cakes, biscuits, brandy sauce, nuts, pretzels and Pringles, but not mince pies or Christmas puddings, as they do have enough of those. So thank you to John Needham from the Iron Trust Secretary. And if you have any of those that you can help out Scunthorpe with, then please do. Again, going into tomorrow's game, and we're looking at a possible automatic promotion push this season then, and we're getting into the kind of midway stages of the campaign. As mentioned again, very tough winter period. We've got a team now who are able to bounce back from perhaps the poorer performances, defeats. We've only had one of them this season, but since that Gillingham loss at home, the 2-0 defeat, we followed up with a 2-1 win at Wimbledon, a 1-0 win at home to Fleetwood, 2 draws against Burton and Accrington, 2 very tough games, as we know, and then a 1-0 win away to Bradford. Just great bounce back ability, Henry. Something that this season it still remains a point that on only one occasion, or only 2 occasions now, that where we've dropped points, we've come back and won the next game. On only 2 occasions has that not happened.
That's the mark of champions. I know you won't want me to say that at this stage of the season, but
it's a very bold prediction.
It's a very bold prediction, but teams that often go on to get automatic promotion or win leagues, when there's a little bit of a when something happens, when you lose, the ideal thing is to bounce back. And teams that win leagues, they bounce back. Teams that get automatically promoted, they bounce back. And I think that's been the difference between this season and last season. When there was a couple of rocky roads, Pompey didn't always respond to it. There wasn't that reaction result sometimes. Whereas this year, when there's a bump in the road, they react. There's a big performance and a big result on the end of it. And I think that's important. If the ambition, of course, is for automatic promotion. And I think the key ingredient, or one of the key ingredients to doing that, is reacting when the chips are down.
And Adam, Sunderland had a chance last weekend with Pompey not playing due to Charlton being on international duty. They did have a game in hand on us, but now they don't. They weren't able to capitalise with a win last weekend against Wycombe. They only managed.
They slowed the game down.
Well, thanks to Wycombe for that. We often have a few words about those, but 2 points behind us now. They had a bit of an iffy start to the season. 2 points behind, playing very well. Unfortunate last week, yes. How tight do you think it will be come the end of the season? Pompey, 38 points at the moment. Sunderland, 36. Barnsley and Peterborough on 34. And then there's quite a gap between us and the rest of the chasing playoff teams. Who do you think will be in the top 2 come the end of the season?
I mean, first of all, the Wycombe result for Sunderland last week says a lot about the competitive nature of the league. That can happen at any time, and we saw that when we lost to the Gills a couple of weeks ago, first loss of the season. As for the last 2, or the top 2 come the end of the season, I think Peterborough look like they're starting to fade off. Steve Evans done a fantastic job, completely reworked the squad over the summer. I mean, that sound ridiculous, like 15 new transfers that come in over the summer. That's, to gel them together as quickly as he did, fair play. But I think if we can keep the form going, it should, and it could be, us and Sunderland at the top. My only worry is, we were talking about bounce back ability just then. I feel like we've yet to be really tested, really had our backs up against the wall, and perhaps this winter period coming up against the likes of Sunderland and Barnsley, as we've mentioned today, what are we going to be like if we go a goal down, if we're struggling? If we can fight through that period and come through and we obtain a good amount of points and we're there or thereabouts, then there's no reason why we can't get promoted at the end of the season. And I think that will say a lot about the squad depth that we've got and everything that Kenny Jackett's done to this side this season.
And in terms of squad depth, we may not have a striker at the moment who is, kind of banging in the goals week in, week out. We're relying on goals from the midfield and other parts of the team. But just looking at this table, Henry, Tom Eaves, the top goal scorer of the league with 11 goals, but Gillingham are 19th. Mm-hmm. So does it really matter? As long as the team's playing well, in my opinion, then that's all that counts.
Sometimes if you win a lot of games, as long as you win a lot of games 1-0, then sometimes, you're not going to get the top goal score if you keep winning games 1-0, and that's the sign of teams that do well. And that's
what we're doing so well this season. The defence has been on point and almost faultless.
Exactly, and that's exactly what you want. And I'll reference back just to last season when I watched Havant win the title in the National League South. Jason Parr may have banged in the goals, but it wasn't enough to win him the Golden Boot in the league because the defence was so good defensively that we could get away winning 1-0 every week.
Yep, and Adam, ahead of the game tomorrow, a quick prediction on the scoreline.
Yeah, I've said throughout today it's going to be a tough one. It could be a cold one as well, up north as well. I would like to see us, and I think we will, grind out a 1-0 win. If we can score relatively early, perhaps first half, and solidify for the rest of the game, I think we can come away 1-0 winners tomorrow. And
Henry, a quick prediction on Pompey, but also Havant Waterlooville as well. As we know, you are the media officer.
Yeah, very specific.
Not the manager, which I had my ear bit for last week.
Right, I'll go Havant first. I'm not going to knock back Havant. I'm going to go 2-0. I'm going to go bold. I think we score early, crowd go up, that we've got decent striking options, and I think our midfield are capable of scoring goals. If we can get that second, it kills the game off. Defensively, we've been much better the last couple of weeks, so I think we hold out for the clean sheet. As for Pompey, I reckon 1-0, grind the result out, get out of there with the 3 points kind of job.
Which seems to be the pattern of which Pompey have been playing this season. And we're almost at the end of the show, guys. Thank you very much for joining me on my debut of the Friday Football Hour. Thank you to Adam Hillier on my left.
Thank you for having me.
No worries. And thank you to the Havant Waterlooville Media Officer Henry Deacon on my right. And over the white line presenter on a Wednesday evening.
7 to 8 every Wednesday on Express FM.
Every evening if you want to get your non-league fix on a Wednesday. So again, thank you very much to everyone listening at home. If you're off to Scunthorpe tomorrow, don't forget that there may be railway works. Thanks to South Western Railway, you can thank them later on. So please do visit the website at nationalrail.co.uk. So safe journey up there. Thank you everyone for listening. And hopefully it's a dry one. Hopefully it's another win for Pompey, another game unbeaten on the road, and Pompey can extend their lead at the top of the table. Thank you again for joining us on the Friday Football Hour, and most importantly, a massive play up Pompey.